Hi, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Knowledgeable Nurse. I am your tour guide, Nurse Na, and I am here today so we can talk about a topic that's been on my heart for a little bit now. And I just want to be able to help people that may be going through this situation. And the situation is loss and grieving. I believe this is the month of September is hard for me because this is the month of my dad's birthday, and my dad died in 2018 from peripheral T-cell lymphoma. And what's even crazier to me is that September happens to be the month of blood cancer awareness. So it just worked out well. It just worked out well. So I'm just going to tell you about my personal journey with grief and loss and how it has impacted my nursing practice. So my dad was diagnosed with peripheral T-cell lymphoma back in June of 2017. He just had a lump in his neck. That was his main complaint. Like, he had a lump in his neck, and he was losing weight. And I remember there was a point in time where we were going somewhere and he was like, "Oh, look now, like something's wrong with my neck." And I'm like, we're going to keep an eye on that. Don't worry about it. We'll keep an eye on that. So that was a Saturday. And then I came back to see him on Thursday, and I realized that he lost more weight. His belly was big and the neck just looked bigger, just looked more swollen. So I remember going to my mom and telling her, like, "Hey, Daddy has lymphoma." And she was like, "Nadish, how do you know that? Like, nothing else is going on with him. What makes you think that he has lymphoma?" I was like, "I just have a feeling he has lymphoma." So he went to the doctor. I believe they drew labs, and then he called me and told me to come see him because he wanted to talk to me. And at that time, they told him that it might be pancreatic cancer. And I lost it, completely lost it, because I knew pancreatic cancer is one of them. It's a bad cancer. And it takes you out quick. It's a very serious cancer, very aggressive cancer. So then they ended up doing biopsies, and they found out actually that it was peripheral T-cell lymphoma. So he went through his treatment. We're still now in 2017. He went through his treatment. He received R-CHOP, which is a chemotherapy regimen. And with some chemotherapy regimens, they mix different drugs together to come up with a regimen. And he was doing all right for like a week. And then they called and said that he relapsed. So it didn't work. It didn't work. So his doctor calls me and she tells me, "You know what? I don't think I can manage this disease. I am going to send him to a hospital in Philly." But guess what? That hospital happens to be the hospital I work for. So it was like, okay, you know what, Daddy, I don't think this is going to work, because I don't want you to be a patient on my floor. Because I knew we take care of cancer patients on my floor, specifically patients that have blood disorders or blood cancers. So of course you're going to be on my unit, and I don't want you to be on my unit. And he told me that he is going to be a patient on my unit. And for people that know my dad, y'all know. For those who knew my dad, you already knew there was no way I was going to get past that. He was going to do what he wanted to do. So he was like, "No, I'm going to be a patient there." He was like, because my doctor wants me to be a patient there. Plus, it's easier for the family to get here, because there was another hospital we could have chosen, but that's where he wanted to be. So I had to respect boyfriend's decision, So he was a patient, went through some treatment. We tried this treatment, didn't work. He tried another treatment, it didn't work. I remember Just bear with me. If I start tearing, just bear with me. I'm gonna make it through this episode without crying. I'm gonna try my best. So I remember there was a time when the doctor came, one of the doctors that I work with. He pulled me, my mom, into my dad's room. And I'm currently, just mind you, I'm setting the scene for you. I was working. I was about to give report to night shift. I was working. And the doctor was like, Nadej, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you. So that's when he told us that we were running out of options. And I remember looking at the doctor and walking out. There was nothing else to say. I have to give a report. I have to give a report. I have to go home. And I hope that my parents didn't take it as I was being rude or that I didn't care. It was more so I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. So I just walked out and gave report. And I believe not only could I not take it, I didn't feel like processing that because it was too heavy to process. I did not feel like doing that. So it got to the point where there were no other treatment options. So we were going to go on my dad was going to go on a clinical trial. But he couldn't do that because he received chemo. So they were like, you know what, just wait. And then we will start your clinical trial in 2 weeks. However, my dad was getting sicker and sicker. And it got to the point where he was readmitted to the hospital I work for. He was readmitted, and I got a call. So I got a call from another doctor who happened to be my dad's doctor, who I work with. She called me early. She called me like 9:00. And she said, we need to have a family meeting. And since I work in this oncology world, I knew exactly what that family meeting meant. Hearing that over the phone, and she was like, when's the soonest you can get here? It's not like, when can you get here? Like, no, girl, when's the soonest you can be up here? Because this is kind of emergent. So I was like, I'm gonna be there ASAP. Like, let me just get my mom together. Let me just get myself together and we'll be up there. So we got to the room and the meeting went as is. Either we do home hospice or we try another chemo. However, this chemo will probably, I took it as, she did not say this. She didn't say this, but I took it as, this chemo is going to probably kill you. So it's either you go home and be comfortable or this chemo is going to kill you. So either or. This is it. So at this time, my dad was confused. And again, if you knew my dad, confusion is not in his vocabulary. He
is not very sharp. That man was very, very sharp.
Okay? Very sharp. So the fact that he was confused was concerning to my mom and myself. And I remember him saying that he wanted the treatment. And I was like, okay, Daddy, but before you make this decision, you need to tell me exactly what the doctor told you, so I know that you're making an informed decision. And I guess that's the nursing part of me, because, you know, you're going to advocate for your patient. And I wanted to make sure he knew what he was getting himself into. So after he was like, well, I don't even want this treatment. I want to do the clinical trial. And I was like, listen, Daddy, that's no longer an option because we are too far gone. So it's either you go home on hospice or you take the treatment. And he was like, I'm going home. That was hard. That was hard to hear, because I knew that was, we were coming to the end. I knew we were coming to the end. And it was also hard because the way my mom took it. I mentioned to you guys before, and you guys met my mom a little bit, and I'll make sure I have that video somewhere. So if you haven't met my mom, you can see that video. But she took that hard, especially since she retired so she can be his caregiver. I can't even begin to imagine how that was for her. And she's such a sweet lady, such a loving lady, such an amazing mom, such a beautiful wife. I could not. I just couldn't feel that pain for her. Like, it was just too much.
Too much. I said I wasn't going to cry during this episode, but look at what y'all done did. I'm crying. So I'm going to try to get it together.
So one thing I forgot to mention about this story is that, so now we're in 2018. Like, we're closer to the end of January. However, 2 weeks before this even happened, I found out I was pregnant. Yeah. I found out I was pregnant. And not only was I pregnant, I was in my master's program to become a family nurse practitioner. So girlfriend was busy. She was caring for her dad, she was working, and she was in school. Now girlfriend is pregnant. And I remember when I told my dad that I'm pregnant, and he told me I won't be able to hold the baby. And I was like, Daddy, don't worry about that. We're going to work it out for you, you know. Don't worry we going to work it out. And he was like, no, I won't be holding that baby. And that's when I knew that he knew his life was coming to an end. That's when I knew, okay, I know where we are now. I got you. I understand what you're saying. So going back to the story, so he decided to go home on hospice. And before I allowed him to come home, yes, I said before I allowed him to come home, because at this time I'm running the situation, and I don't mean to say it like that, but since I had the nursing background, since I was taking care of all his medical stuff, I was running the situation. So I was like, okay, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. Daddy, what do you want? And we just had a conversation about his care. So this was the time when I was like, okay, I need to have a family meeting. Honey. This family meeting was like horrible. Like, it's not horrible because of how people took my information. It was just horrible because I had to tell these people, this man is about to die. And it's not just these people. These are my cousins. These are my uncles. This is my uncle. This is my aunt. And I told y'all I rolled deep. I got like 80 million cousins. So it was packed up in there for that meeting. It was, and to break all of their hearts. To break all of their hearts, to tell them like, this is it. And I have my cousin who asked me, well, Nadej, how long do you think it will take? So again, this is the Tuesday. So this is I want to say the last Tuesday in January 2018. And I said it's going to be a week. I was like, based on how I see him now, it's going to be a week. I could be completely wrong, but I'm just saying based off how I see things are progressing, I'm going to give it a week. So the next day, so it was a Wednesday. And sorry, let me go back a little bit. So before I decided to take my road trip to Jersey, I went to my floor because my dad was not a patient on my floor at that time. I went to that floor and I told my coworkers, because again, they got to know my dad. He was a patient on my floor. My coworkers were my dad's nurses. I told them that he's going home on hospice. I thanked them for caring for my whole family. I thanked them, and I asked if I can have our case manager, who I work with. I just asked her if she could set up everything for my dad, because I didn't want any new person in it. She's already helped me set up things for my dad already, so I asked her if she could do that for me. Yeah. So he came home. He came home on a Wednesday, I believe, I spent Thursday with him. I spent Friday with him. I came back with my co-parent so we can see him again Saturday. Sunday, he calls me and says he's not feeling well. And I was working on my paper. I was working on a paper for school. I was like, you know what, Daddy, I could just come. And he was like, no, I don't want you to come. Just call the nurse for me, and that should be fine. So that Sunday was the last time I heard his voice or spoke to him. The Monday I called, I had to work the Monday. So I called him after work, because that was always my ritual. I would call him after work. And my mom said he's sleeping. So I was like, okay, all right. And on that Monday, I did not feel well. That Monday, I didn't feel well. I remember having palpitations, and I remember asking my coworker, "Is that normal? Is my heart supposed to be beating like this?" And I remember I had the nurse practitioner come and listen. She was like, "Oh, girl, you got extra heartbeats in there. I don't know what's really going on. That's not normal, though." So I was like, okay. I was feeling very weird, very weird, very weird. So Tuesday is the next day, which happens to be February 6th. Yes, February 6th. I'm at work, and my mom is blowing my phone up. And I was like, oh, that's not my girlfriend. She don't be doing that. Like, she don't be calling me like that. What's going on? And I knew he was on home hospice. So I pick up the phone. She was like, and my dad was a diabetic. So she was like, his blood sugar is 37. And I was like, okay, girlfriend, we need to wake him up. I was like, he's awake. Like, what's going on? You need to wake him up. She wakes him up, and I was like, you need to wake him up, get him some orange juice, check it again. Call me back. Calls me back. It's 39. Okay, girl. Let's do it again. Call me back. It's 32. Okay, so she was like, I'm going to the hospital. I was like, wait, hold on, girlfriend. Before you decide to go on to the hospital, what's the goal of the hospital here? Because we already know his wishes. We already know. So what are we going to the hospital for? And she's like, we're going to the hospital because his blood sugar is low. And I was like, fine, I'll meet you there. So I left work crying because I had a feeling this was deeper than a blood sugar. So I'm drive to Jersey, and I go in and see my dad. My dad is actively dying. Actively. He's awake, but he's so agitated. And that's when I had the realest conversation I ever had with my girl Princess, aka Mommy. I was like, so listen, we're here. We are here. We have come to the end. I already told you how I feel about stuff. and you are his wife, so you're the one that makes the decisions for him. I can tell you my opinion, but you are the one that makes his decision. You're the one that makes decisions for him. So what I'm going to say is this: if you allow them to do CPR on this man in front of me, you allow them to put a tube down his throat in front of me, that's not going to work for me. And I was like, and plus, you know what he wants. So, and she was like, got it. And we said, we want to take him home. We're going to take him home. And my dad also said at that time, he wants to go home. That's the last thing I heard my dad say. So I got there around 1:00. So I'm going to fast forward because a whole bunch of stuff happened in between that time. So now we are at 7 p.m. and I could tell I actually made a call because my mom ended up going home to prepare the house and stuff like that. But his breathing changed. And this is like now, we working on 7. So I'm like, okay, Jamil, which is my co-parent, call my cousin, tell them to bring my mom. I had to call everybody and be like, you need to get down here because we're running out of time. We're running out of time. So everybody's there, everybody's saying their goodbyes. I'm looking at the monitor, and I'm realizing his heart rate is dropping. And his brother was talking to him, and I was like, I kind of like pushed my uncle out the way. I was like, I gotta get in. Because I realized, because his heart rate was in the 140s most of the day. Then I saw going to 120s, then 100, then 80. And I was like, oh no, this is happening now. So I was like, okay, I need to talk to him real quick. And I was like, Daddy, listen, I love you. You can go now. We're going to be fine. Mommy's going to be fine. Because I remember the day before he came home to be on hospice, he said, I'm very concerned about your mom. I don't know how she's going to deal with this. I'm very concerned about her. Just make sure you take care of her. Because I'm very nervous about her. So I just spoke to him and I was like, your grandbaby's going to know about you. Mommy's going to be fine. We're going to be fine. I'm going to be okay. And then I felt him take his last breath. I felt his heart stop. And that's about it. That's about it. So, yeah. My dad's loss impacted my nursing practice, I would say, for the better, because now I am able to... I always saw a patient as a whole, including their family members and everything, but now I understand that being a caregiver, I understand that aspect now. I very much so. I understand, like, okay, I got to look out for my patient, but I also have to look out for their families too, because being a caregiver is hard. And although, like, my mom did a majority, I always say I ain't do nothing, you know. Mommy did that. Like, she was with him, staying up with him. I did the medical aspect of it, but she really did that. And it just helps me practice in a different way. Like, I always consider how a family member is feeling, or when they're told options are running low, how that feels. Or when they're standing by the bedside of their loved one dying, I know how that feels. So I always try to be mindful of that in my practice. And I feel like that has made me a better nurse. I know that sounds crazy, but I always try to see the good in every situation. Of course I miss my dad. Of course I do. I miss him. I do miss him. But this experience has changed me in a lot of ways. Some for the good. Some for the good. Some, we shall see. But some for the good. But there's also different things of how his death has impacted me. I have a podcast with my friend Jade. It's called A Week Apart, and that's where I talk about my postpartum experience, especially with postpartum depression, and I talk about that a little bit more. So make sure you check out that podcast. But yeah, I just wanted to share that story with you guys because I'm in a season of healing, and talking about this has helped me a little bit. I've been pushing my healing back, to be honest. I've been pushing it back, but I'm gonna work through this. So I want to thank you for listening, and please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I truly appreciate you all, and just thanks.